station's Senior Vice President of Public Affairs, Sara Slane, and ESPN's Scott Van Pelt.
Joining us at 9 o'clock in the morning in Las Vegas on the second day of the trade show. We should be giving you a round of applause for making it here, but we do promise to give you a very entertaining and insightful keynote. We are so happy to have Scott Van Pelt with us here today to talk a little bit about his career and his viewpoints on sports betting. You were an early proponent of legalized sports betting, probably one of the first that was out there talking about on TV. In fact, you did a great segment. I remember we replayed it. I think we reposted it. Why did you feel that way?
Because I have common sense. I live in a state, Connecticut, where you could go to the gas station and buy a scratch-off ticket. You could buy a state lottery ticket, you could buy a Powerball ticket, you could buy a Mega Millions ticket. 47 states have casinos. 44, I believe, have lotteries. Somehow Nevada doesn't. I'm sure there's some reason for that, but whatever. And so people bet. And I'm an adult, okay? And I'm pro adults being allowed to be adults and do the things that they wish to do. And people bet on sports. So, knowing that they do, whether it's legal or not, I was always just a common sense, to me I'm applying common sense to something, and just from the common sense standpoint, I didn't understand how it was that people could play blackjack, roll dice and bet on, and buy lottery tickets, but not bet on sports. And by the way, they already are. They got an out somewhere, so why not make it legal?
Exactly. You raised a couple of very interesting points. There's been a lot of argument that by legalizing and regulating sports betting, somehow you're going to compromise the integrity of the game. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts about that?
I get it. People already, there's so many conspiracy theorists in the world already. All you have to do is watch a game, and the minute that somebody gets a call that, the NBA or NFL wants X team to win. You see it all the time.
Do you think there's going to be more of that now that we have legal sports betting?
I don't. And maybe I'm naive. We just saw this week, I believe there were 3 tennis officials that were banned for, I want to say it was a year, for match fixing. That would be my bigger concern, are the people that are administering the rules, because they don't make enough money to not be able to get potentially compromised. Think about it just realistically. Look at the NFL. Who are the people that are most likely to be able to impact the outcome of a game and theoretically alter it? They make too much money.
You raise an interesting point, though, about those that may be most susceptible for cheating, mm-hmm. and we hear a lot about the NCAA not wanting there to be betting on college sports. I think the argument that would be made is they're probably going to be the most susceptible, right, because they're not paid.
Right.
And that through having a legal, regulated sports betting system, you could actually detect when something like that happens. Do you think there's anything that's off limits then? Any bet types, sports that the industry shouldn't be taking bets on?
This is about the NCAA and what it is in college athletics and what they are, which is $1 billion business. And so I tend to, again, I look at that through the lens of what are we really talking about? We're talking about massive corporations and brands. So I'd say no. I'm not opposed to taking action on college sports, because I see them for what they are, and it's a massive $1 billion business, both college football and college basketball. So it's, student athletes, they insist on using that term, but I think we all understand. I call them student earners, is what I call them.
You talked a little bit about, obviously, you throughout your show talk about sports betting and lines, and it's great and entertaining, and I think there is some cause for concern when it comes to content and doing that responsibly. Do you have thoughts then on the, responsibility of the broadcast industry and the gaming industry, and how that sort of intersects then, and how we talk about sports betting in a responsible way, so that we're not if you look around the world, there's been some backlash in the UK because there's so much advertising with sports betting companies and a lot of sponsorship that's being done then with sports betting companies and the teams. Do you think there's a line that we could end up crossing here?
Yes, I mean, too much of anything's bad. Too much drinking's bad. Hell, too much water, too much oxygen, you could die. And so, I mean, too much of anything is bad. But there's always going to remain some bit of it, right, when it relates to sports betting. Somehow, we can make this distinction. Oh, you go to Vegas, you go to Atlantic City. Hell, like I said, go to the casino in your 47 states, and that's fine, but betting in sports. Well, sure, you have to be responsible, but you have to be responsible with anything that you're doing, that doing too much of it could be damaging to you. I think that's understood, I think.
So I think one of the important lessons that we draw on this was in 2015 when Daily Fantasy Sports started advertising, and they're great partners, they're members of ours, and they've now entered the fray in sports betting very successfully. But a lot of cause for concern and sort of the oversaturation in advertisement. And do you see something like that similar? Do we need to draw a line then on how much advertising is being done, when it's being done? Obviously, sports are a family entertainment thing. Should we be careful about how all of that's being incorporated?
Sure. I mean, I have a segment on the show called One Big Thing, which is sort of commentary. And in 2015, it was like the third or fourth week of the year, and I did a segment about those ads. Every ad and every commercial break of an NFL game was some dude holding a check for $2 million. Every single ad, every single break. And I said on the show, and people rolled their eyes at me or got mad, and some of the bit like, how could you do this to people that are advertising on your network? I said, if you're going to make a distinction that it's daily and you're paying on the outcome based on sporting events, it's betting. That was my opinion. And others shared that opinion. And I made the analogy that's been said about Wall Street and about any business in the world, that pigs get fed and hogs get slaughtered, and everybody was a hog. We were. Sure, we took your money. Of course we did. You guys want to line up at our door and spend millions of dollars? Come on down. We ran those ads, and NBC and Fox and everybody that's in CBS, everybody that's in this in the world of sports broadcasting took their money and ran the ads. Come on down and play daily fantasy. And I made this point that got lost because people hear what they want to hear. I'm pro that because I'm an adult, and I'm pro adults being allowed to do what they want to do. But that was an example of everybody, the leagues too, because that was a fun little dance they did, right? They were partners there. And it's like, well, you can't bet, you can do this, and we're teaming up with you, because what they see, they saw a pile of money. Everyone saw the same pile of money, and then they dove head first like Scrooge McDuck into it. And then everyone looks around like, oh, they pulled the plug on this. I wonder why. Because everyone acted like crazy people. So, yes, there needs to be, I think, some common sense applied to, and I don't think we'll ever be what the UK is, where it's, what's that dude's name? I raised somebody. It's like every ad, it's almost like this Orwellian, mind control. Bet. You know?
I think that the point that you're making is that there's a time and a place, and it should be done appropriately. There's reasonable common sense standards. I would extend this to not just advertising, but you brought up too with the teams and the leagues and sponsorship opportunities. We've obviously seen a couple of those being rolled out with some of our members, which is great. I think, again, it points to there being a nexus with the mainstream form of casino gaming and the entertainment experience then from the sporting side. Are there, you think, cautionary things that we should be watching out for, and not getting too ahead of ourselves and having regulatory backlash come back if we...
And when it comes to teams and leagues, it's clear that everyone is poking around, right? And everyone's just trying to figure out, but who's going to be the first to just say, hell with it, like, let's get out there on the dance floor? And so I don't know where things will go when it comes to a lot of this, but it's clear to me that all of these avenues are being explored because what these are revenue streams for everyone, for leagues, for people that are in gaming, for television networks. It's for everybody, whether it's going to be the advertising side of it all, right? So I think that people are taking it very slowly, and that's prudent because we saw what happened when it went too far the other way, in my opinion, with all the advertising and things, and then it was like a month later it was over. So, does that make sense? I mean, that's
No, it makes good sense. And in fact, when I'll go speak to sports conferences and not gaming conferences, I'll make the argument that I actually think that this is going to be more transformative for the sports industry than necessarily the casino industry. It certainly is great for our industry. It's a low margins business. It's a nice amenity. It's going to help move things along, but it really will be, I think, transformative to all those things that you're talking about. The broadcast piece of it, certainly the fan engagement. We saw that with daily fantasy sports. Do you see the American bettor being a lot like the UK bettor?
It's different. I don't know how many of you all have been there, but in much of my life, in my job, I've covered golf, and so one of the events that's my very favorite to cover is the Open Championship, or the British Open if you're not a golf aficionado maybe. And in town, right next to the takeaway place, where they have pizza and fish and chips and like lamb kebabs. Next to that is William Hill or Paddy Power or Ladbrokes. It's brick and mortar, and it's old brick and mortar. It's been there forever. It's ingrained in their culture in forever. It's just what you do. You have a bet. And I read a number that blew my mind. That last year in Britain, $20 billion was bet. 20 billion. They have 65 million people. We're 5 times bigger as a country. So revenue stream, right? People see it for what it is. But your question is, do I think that we're the same? It's not as socially or culturally ingrained, but clearly there's an appetite for it. And again, this is where I find your position and your place in this moment in time so fascinating, is to try to figure out, well, what ought we be offering? And that's, again, the answer that I don't know. I mean, are we talking about, does it have to be real time? Do you have to be able to, like, because William Hill offers like 500 offerings on a game, like a game. So does it need to be a zillion prop bets, over under on hits in an inning to make people more interested in baseball? I don't know what the appetite for that is. I think by and large, in states that make it legal, it's mostly as simple as turning the lights on and showing people the window and telling them what the numbers are in the games, right? Because I think that's what people know. I think they'll have to learn to a degree what the real-time in-game betting is all about, because it isn't as prevalent here yet. I think once people get an idea of that, I think that's where you'll see an explosion. But I don't know how. I don't know what those offerings and what the mechanism to tap into that is. I assume it's in my pocket right here, and I'll talk about that maybe later.
Yeah, and I think aside from the bets that are being offered, traditionally I think most people think about sports betting on football, and basketball, and baseball. What are you've obviously spent a lot of time on golf. What are some other sports that you think would be ideal for sports betting?
I think golf's actually a fascinating possibility, because it's 4 days. The leaderboard changes based on every single hole, and just the real-time application of who's leading, selling the idea of who's going to win as like a stock price, and having that fluctuate over the course of 4 days, with the ultimate winner being paid out, like the winner gets paid X and no one else is worth anything. But the idea of golf, and it's different because it's an event where there's 70 individual contestants over the course of 4 days. Well, it's more than that for the first 2, but then by the time you get to the weekend, I think golf is something that, and maybe NASCAR. I don't know if I don't know that sport as well, but
Cars just started, yeah.
In race betting, I suppose things like that. But I think those are more niche. I think mostly what it comes down to is people that like to bet on sports. I've always looked at it this way. Just on Saturdays and Sundays, they sit in front of the TV, and whether it was pools back in the old day where you'd Xerox off the games and you'd circle your picks, and I guess people still do that somewhere, but I would think that those are going to be the equivalent of your blackjack and your baccarat in a casino, and the other things are more like I don't know, you can play war for money, which blows my mind.
You pointed to your phone, and I think we're going the whole mobile route. I think generally speaking, as an outsider, kind of looking at the trends in the sports industry, there's concern about ratings decline and keeping millennials engaged, and how do you have them watch 3.5-hour baseball games? Mm-hmm. Do you think sports betting will play a big role in that?
In
keeping millennials engaged with in-play, and sounds like you're leaning more towards the mobile piece.
Look, they're a tough demo to figure out. Our business is trying to figure that out. I mean, I do a version of SportsCenter on the app, and to call it SportsCenter, I mean, my show's an hour long. What we do for that is 5 minutes, but I mean, that's what we've become societally, is like 5-minute attention span theater. That's what we are.
Looking forward, there's been a lot of discussion on data and official data and who owns what data. I think one of the most interesting conversations that's occurring right now is about the wearable technology that players can have and all the statistics that will be available. What do you think about that? Does it help you with your job? Is it interesting?
I don't get it. I'll just be totally honest. Like, I don't get it. So what? You're gonna put a Fitbit on Tom Brady, and then you have to buy that info, which helps you do what? I don't get it. I thought about it, and I'm trying to be, because again, I'm like you all, I'm trying to take all the information that's available and make the most informed sort of, to create the most informed opinion. But I don't know, I don't understand what it is, and I don't get the leagues want to sell you like the data. They want to sell you what? Information I can get with my eyes, like what somebody's ERA is or how many hits they get. I can see. I have to buy that.
As I said here, majority of the people that are sitting in this room, and you just fed them red meat by bashing the integrity fee. What is the advice that you would provide to them?
I think right now, if I'm you, there is a similarity in where you are and where we are and what we do in our business, which is trying to figure out how to be where our customers want us to be. And ultimately, you need to be who you are and be great at that, and differentiate yourself in how you're great and how you're servicing your customers. I think right now is a time where you better really button up what you're doing and figure out how it is you're going to serve something that is so incredibly fluid. And I think you have to be nimble and evolve as this is evolving, and it's happening in real time. And I think, I kidded earlier about, like, it's as simple as turning the lights on, and to a degree it is. I mean, in a state where gambling becomes legal, make sure your lines are good, turn on the lights, and don't take $100 bets where you have to pay $82,000 on a single outcome of the game. Get your algorithm game together. But literally, again, phone is a prop. It seems to me, in the same way that my bosses are trying to figure out how to get our content here, because not everybody's going to be able to sit down and watch an hour. Not everybody's going to be able to drive to where you are. The fact that that exists, cool, great. But I would be as nimble as I could and as forward-thinking as I could, and adapt. Because what it is in 2018, I assume it'll be different in 2019. I would make sure that my ability to engage my customer and create a streamlined experience where I can get in and get out, and I can do that there. I assume that is where you're going to conduct the overwhelming majority of your business, but that's an assumption that I'm making. I don't even know if that's legal at all. I don't even know how it works.
And I would say, in fairness, the leagues and the gaming industry, while we may disagree on a couple things like the integrity fee that you talked about,
truly there is a lot of alignment in shutting down the illegal market. And the only way that you're going to be able to do that is if you have the platforms in order to do that. So having that interstate mobile component where you can get online and place a bet. Because until we can get those consumers who are operating in the illegal market back to the legal regulated one, we're dead in the water. We thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Very insightful thoughts and comments.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe so you won't miss a video, and visit our website to learn more about slots and casinos. If you like this video, please give it a like, and we'll also answer your questions and comments.